I'm Daryl Owens. Welcome to A World of Difference. Social media is almost inescapable in today's world, for better or worse. Today, around 7 in 10 Americans use social media to engage the world, according to the Pew Research Center. And while too much of it amounts to doom scrolling society's slog towards perdition, British journalist John Ronson rightly noted, quote, "The great thing about social media was how it gave a voice to voiceless people," unquote. And too often, voiceless has described the neurodivergent and the people who love them. Take parents of children with learning differences looking for ways to support them, or neurodivergent individuals who want to change society's view of them. Enter social media, part support group and living, breathing, info please almanac for mom and dads in search of life hacks for parenting their kids with learning disabilities, and also a far-reaching megaphone for young and proudly neurodivergent content creators to shout out their truth. On this episode, you'll meet a woman who helps parents find answers for rearing children who learn differently. Next, you'll meet a handful of influencers who use social media as their canvas to paint truer portraits of neurodiversity. Later, you'll meet our latest difference maker, a former TV journalist who now uses funny YouTube videos to educate about the serious topic of embracing neurodiversity. First, we visit with a mother who moderates a Facebook group focused on helping to farm and sow advice that can be a life changer for neurodiverse families. Special correspondent Mabel Zhang brings us the story.
Discovering that your child is neurodivergent can be a significant adjustment for families. Parents of neurodiverse children, especially ones that are younger, have a responsibility to help their kids reach their full potential and set them up for success in the future. But that path can look very different depending on the individual circumstances, as each child is unique and has different needs. For some parents, social media support groups can be a useful tool to help them navigate. Social media sites now have an extensive ecosystem of support groups for every stripe of neurodiversity. To learn more about how parents can find advice, community, and resources through social media, we'll hear from Mother Heidi Green. Heidi is a professional photographer based in New York City and a mother of 2 young teens, one of whom has some extra needs and learning differences. In 2015, she started a Facebook group for New York City parents of kids who have different needs as a way to connect with other parents in similar circumstances. The group has since grown to nearly 5,000 members. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, tell me a little bit about your daughter. How old is she?
So my daughter's name is Rose. She's 13. She's amazing. She is unique and talented and great. And her special needs are that she has issues with focus and attention, as well as some language processing. So basically, she's just like your regular 13-year-old girl, but a little bit quirky and a little bit more unique than usual. So in preschool, she seemed a little bit less focused than the other kids, and she has a twin brother, my son, who is neurotypical. So I would notice that she was just a little bit harder to get her focus and to keep her attention on certain subjects. She doesn't have like a definite diagnosis, but definitely the way she processes things and just her the overall way about her is not perfectly mainstream when it comes to school and classes and socialization.
And I understand you run a Facebook group for New York City parents who have children with different needs. What inspired you to start the group?
So I've always been pretty active on social media, both personally and for my photography business. I'm a family and event photographer. And for some reason, it just popped into my head a few years ago that there wasn't a page for parents to connect who have kids with different needs, whether it be just some little tiny needs like my daughter has, or even more health problems, other types of special needs, and that it would be great to have a place where people could connect or even post anonymously for support and advice when it comes to this situation for their kids. So it's been amazing. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from the different parents thanking me for starting the group. I know for myself, I have found out about different therapists, classes, camps. I've been able to connect with parents who have kids of the same age with similar needs for social play dates and things like that. And as the moderator, basically, I just make sure that everybody is being respectful and staying on task and on target, posting things that make sense, not just throwing advertisements and things into the group, but really offering advice or asking for help, just with the topic of kids with needs.
Do you think it's helped you be a better parent to your daughter?
I think so, because we are all sort of in the same boat. And when you can connect with other parents who have the same questions or the same concerns, it sort of puts the parents' minds at ease. And then you can be a better parent when you're not so worried, especially about special circumstances or needs. It makes you a better parent when you can sort of understand and not be as nervous about it. Basically, I've just been able to connect with different parents who have kids with similar needs, and you learn that there are different resources out there that you can tap into to help with really anything, any type of special needs, whether it be OT, PT, speech therapy. You just learn that you're not alone, that there's ways that you can help your kids. And without social media, it's kind of like you feel like you're on your own. I remember when I first figured out that my daughter was a little bit different, I just felt sort of overwhelmed and trapped and nervous about, like, how am I going to start from the beginning and get her all the services that she's entitled to.
What about for Rose? Have you noticed that she's gone online to try to figure out answers to questions she might have about what the challenges that she's dealing with?
So my daughter hasn't gone online herself yet. She has looked at pictures of different programs, different camps and classes. When I find something new for her, she wants to look it up online to see what it looks like. But she's not quite old enough yet to do her own research. I think she basically just trusts me with what I tell her. That might be like a special, I always say, we call it if it's a just right fit. Like if this camp is just right, or if the school is not just right, we'll find a different school. So I think that she trusts me that I know the types of places that would be a good fit for her. I would assume that older teenage kids and young adults with needs might be able to access the internet more to help themselves when they've become a little bit more independent. And for younger kids, I think it falls on the parents to really be resourceful and advocate for their child. And a good way to do that is on social media.
For other parents who are just starting this journey, what is the advice you have for them on how to find resources about learning differences on social media? Where should they start?
I think the best place to start is actually going onto a Facebook page like the one that I run. You can post anonymously. You can put right on there what your needs are, what your concerns are, and maybe connect with other parents who are in the same situation. I think the best place to always start is with an evaluation so that you know what the needs are, you know what you need to target, and what types of therapies or services you should be looking for your child.
Thanks so much to Heidi Green for sharing her experience. I'm Mabel Jung for A World of Difference.
Thanks, Mabel. Next, we visit with a group of social media influencers who are flipping the script on neurodiversity with stereotype-shattering content. Correspondent Luisa Ardilla brings us the story.
ND influencers are taking over the conversation on social media, from jumping on TikTok trends to myth busting and offering tips. Neurodiverse content creators are using social platforms to create their own communities and change the narrative.
By sharing my drawings through social media, I hope to be able to create a space where people like me can feel less alone, where we can find community and connect through our experiences.
I'm breaking the stigma because I present autism in a fun way.
That's what it kind of started as, of people feeling less alone and Now, as I've kind of developed it a little bit more, it's been a lot of like, hey, we're going through this together. Let's be kind to ourselves. Let's be understanding of each other. Just sort of really trying to solidify a community.
That's why I created the community that I did, is because I felt really alone and I just wanted to share my feelings with others and hopefully, build a connection that way, that we aren't alone and that we can relate to one another.
Jacqueline Taylor is a 16-year-old from Maine who is using her platform to share her insights as someone diagnosed with dyslexia and dyscalculia.
When I was 9 years old, I got diagnosed with dyslexia, and when I was 14, I was diagnosed with dyscalculia. And at the time of my second diagnosis of dyscalculia, I was trying to figure everything out with learning disabilities and how they tied into my life. So I'd actually did so many deep dive searches on the internet. There wasn't a whole lot there, so I actually decided to build my own little platform and community, hopefully trying to find some people who would relate to me and I could relate to them. I have a lot of comments saying like, thank you so much for talking about dyslexia. I've never seen anyone discuss that, or thank you for using your platform to spread awareness on an issue that is rarely talked about but is really common. And I even get older people from, our older generation saying, I'm 50 years old. I've never heard anyone talk about dyscalculia, but this makes a lot of sense for me personally. And all of these comments just keep me going.
Jacqueline is also involved in art, merchandise, and magazine campaigns to spread awareness about learning differences. She's also a social media intern for Pine State Learning, a tutoring center that helped her get where she is today. Anouk Vitae is an artist sharing her ND experiences on the Instagram account Autism Sketches. From their home in Germany, the 22-year-old creates posts and artwork that celebrates and explains what it is like to be neurodivergent.
I started sharing my drawings via my Instagram account, and within 9 months I had gained 50,000 followers. At the beginning, it was just a way to share my sketches with my family and as a way to cope with my diagnosis and newfound identity. While drawing small comics helped me communicate my experiences and find an outlet, I also hope to find people who might relate to my drawings and find connection. I hope to create a space where we can all learn from one another, heal, grow, and just be able to be our true selves. I have had a lot of people reach out to me and share how my work has impacted them. For example, parents with autistic children who have a newfound understanding of their kids, professionals who use my drawings in their clinics and with their patients, newly diagnosed autistic people who are on their journey of self-understanding, as well as undiagnosed people who now found a way to communicate their needs and boundaries. I'm not a professional and I'm limited in what I can offer, but I hope that through my work people can at least find a bit of peace. Another important goal I work towards is illustrating the inner experiences of autistic people in the hopes that others might gain new understanding and insight into our lives. By working towards reducing misconceptions and debunking false narratives, we can all learn to have more compassion with each other and help create a new outlook and understanding towards the topic of neurodiversity.
For many ND influencers, it's not just about raising awareness. It's about encouraging acceptance. That's something 22-year-old Gillis Williams is passionate about.
I started my business called Autism Chose Me, and I originally would go to schools and give lectures to students and the teachers at schools about autism and neurodiversity education. About a year after the pandemic hit, I just unexpectedly started getting more followers on TikTok. And I believe that I have all those followers on the TikTok platform now. It's at, 100 plus K, is because a lot of people are recognizing autism, and I do it and present it in such a fun way. I'm breaking from the stereotypical norms that people have about autism. It's not just about being autistic, I would say. It's also about, me being, Black and autistic. I want to combine fun and autism in my content to bring out that example of acceptance as what one of my friends calls them serotonin booster 1-2 punch videos, in which are like 10 to 15 seconds of fun, in which I show, for example, stimming or my character, the Black autistic captain. That's what brings acceptance, in my opinion. It's not enough to be aware about autism. It's not enough to be aware about neurodiversity. You have to accept it. That's what we need. And that's what I want people to get out of my content.
Shifra David is another content creator reaching out to young people. The 25-year-old lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and creates content under the name Neurodominoes, a reference to how being autistic affects every facet of her life.
When I first started making TikToks about Being autistic, it was kind of just me screaming my frustrations into the ether.
Were you not able to fall asleep until 4 a.m.? That is a medical event.
There was one video that I think really took off with people resonating with my experience. One of the big things that really stood out to me was getting a message saying, you know, thank you for being so honest about how the struggle never goes away. It's just kind of there increases or decreases in intensity, frequency, but like showing how to be kind to yourself during those moments and accommodate yourself during those moments without feeling like it is a personal failure.
Social media can be a place to forge friendships, learn, and advocate, but it can also be a toxic online environment. Parents may be apprehensive about having their kids with learning differences go on social media. As leading ND voices on the platforms, these content creators have some advice.
For parents who are apprehensive about it, I get that. My message to those parents is, you know, there are more and more educators on the TikTok platform, specifically autistic people. There are a lot of hashtags for autism and ADHD and neurodiversity. And, you know, repeating the example again with my stimming videos, that's just like those are profound videos for educating, you know, not just kids, but their parents about autism.
Try to be as involved in the community that your child finds. My mom talks to me about my TikTok stuff and she's like, hey, I kind of saw like negative feedback on this like piece of content of yours. How are you feeling about that? How are you taking that right now? Are you taking care of yourself? Just staying connected, it really helped me feel safe and confident, even when it felt like in those moments my social media presence was taking a hit.
I do believe that parents should allow their children to do that because, I mean, a lot of individuals say, like, I don't have a place to fit in. Well, social media can be a place to fit in if you go and find the right community and space. And parents can always look at their phone to see what this person is posting about and if it's helpful and if it will be beneficial in their life or if it will cause them stress or anything. So I think if they both have a say in it, then it will be beneficial to at least try that route of finding a social media community.
For a world of difference, I'm Luisa Ardila.
Thanks, Luisa. Next, let's meet our latest difference maker. Imagine you've enjoyed a successful career in TV, anchoring newscasts, hosting a popular show on HGTV, and working for ESPN, but you've grown weary of the gloom and doom of the daily news blotter. What do? Jump onto YouTube and create your own reality of zaniness and good cheer. Or at least that's what Penn Holderness did, making it a family affair, sharing a good time with the world. And Penn also shares something else, his journey with ADHD. His videos teach their 4.5 million followers that, like his hit song, ADHD Under the Sea parody attests, ADHD could be a real superpower. Senior correspondent David DeJean has the story.
I forgot to brush my teeth. I need a drink of water. I have to go to the bathroom.
He's funny.
Glasses, wallet, keys, and phone. Keys and phone.
He's multi-talented.
Yeah, I'm awful with money, but hey, I'm funny, seriously.
But the thing that stands out the most? His energy.
Leave me now when I say you can get through it. Here's how you do it. Hello, I'm Penn.
Meet Penn Holderness. He's a former TV news reporter and anchor, and today, he and his family are an internet sensation.
Hello. Can I order a pepperoni and bacon pizza? And I want it here in 5 minutes.
The Holderness family are best known for their Facebook and YouTube channels, which have over 5 million combined subscribers and over 1 billion total views.
I get exercise, I go on a walk, I make it a point to let people talk.
Something you notice right away about Penn is his high energy. And in several episodes, Penn lets you know something about himself.
This is 10 ADHD life hacks from a guy with a scorching case of ADHD.
Penn has been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and we got him to come on A World of Difference to discuss his condition. The first thing he wanted to make clear is how much he hates the name.
ADHD, first of all, it's a terrible name. I didn't make up the name. Somebody made up the name 30, 40 years. It was a long time ago. It's largely diagnosed in children, and it's 3 negative words. It's deficit, hyperactivity, and disorder. It's just like hitting someone repeatedly over the head with a hammer.
And although it might be a terrible name, Penn makes a pretty good living making fun of it on his show.
I love my wife, and I work pretty hard trying to be a good husband and a good father. But sometimes my brain just takes over, thanks to ADHD, and I start thinking about random things. Sometimes I think about a song I just heard. Sometimes I think about meteorology. Sometimes I think about how goats must feel now that people are doing goat yoga. Like, what do the goats think?
When did you learn you had ADHD?
I'm 47 years old, and it wasn't really a thing when I was a kid. I did not hear about it one single time when I was in grade school. The first time I even heard the term ADD, which is what it was called, I think, more frequently back then, was when I was in college. And I did start to struggle in college in class. I probably started to struggle late in high school, but I think I got through it just, with little hacks that, people with ADHD have.
It's hard to believe that Penn is in his 40s because, well, besides looking great, he also has this childlike, whimsical thing going on. And it's something he says started at a very young age.
I was a late bloomer. Like, I developed really late. Like, I was a boy when a lot of my friends were men. One of my worst days as a kid, I called Kmart because I needed to get a certain pair of shoes. And they were like, oh, yeah, we got size 6s for you. And then my mom drove me over there, and I showed up, and the girl at Kmart was like, oh, no, I thought you were a girl on the phone. So we have these sizes for girls. And I was devastated. I was like, what do I have to do? And so that sucked. Anyway.
But it doesn't suck anymore because today Penn takes advantage of his late blooming and puts it to work on his show.
Can you read me a book? Can you tell me a joke? Can I tell you a joke?
Penn says he was diagnosed at age 23. Doctors put him on medication, but he only took his pills for about a year.
That's not to say that I thought medicine was wrong. It was just a personal decision that I made. And then I got into a position in life, which was, I feel like I was extremely fortunate, where my job actually rewarded inattentive ADHD. Like, if you're working in television production and you're putting a final piece together and you're bored, that means the people who are consuming it are going to be bored as well. So I found a way of life where I could work effectively without having to medicate.
Penn offers life lessons about how to live with ADHD.
Number 3, if you have ADHD, you have left something on top of your car. It's the scariest, worst feeling, especially if it's something like a phone, and then you go to the GPS and it's like in the middle of an intersection. I've left my keys on top of cars. I've left multiple coffee mugs on top of cars. So here's what I do. I put a fun little magnet on top of my car. I give myself a mental cue to look at it before I get in the car. Mine says, don't mess with Texas. Kind of the genesis of our first ADHD video that we did was trying to show people that, like, I have this, guys, and it's okay. Because it's a stigma. There is a stigma to it. And I think it starts largely with the name. I mean, it's better than the name they used for me when I was a kid, which was Space Cadet. And that was what most people called us when we were younger. But this is going to sound like a weird thing, but I guess as a marketing person, it has not been branded well, and could probably use a rebrand. And so what we wanted to do with those videos was to make sure people realized that it's not something that you should be ashamed of and something that you should hide from. It's something that, like, if you understand it and if you're open about it and you tell your loved ones about it, like, this is who I am, the amount of grace that they will give you and patience is more limitless than you think. And then also, if you can see someone who's actually using it positively for their job and putting this content out,
hopefully it gives people a little bit of hope that they can do that if they find kind of where to implement their superpower. And we use the word superpower a lot because it is a thing. Like, there are things that we do better than others. One of the things we don't do better is giving short answers to questions. And this answer, I think, has been like 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to stop now.
Actually, you could probably listen to Penn all day and not get bored. He's just that kind of guy. Likeable, good-looking, fun, interesting, and all that with an ADHD diagnosis. It's been quite a ride for Penn, and the fun continues on the internet as we get to see his family grow up and Penn remain a kid at heart.
Tune in for our next episode, How to Bathe Yourself When Mommy's Not in Town.
Reporting for A World of Difference, I'm Dave DeJohn.
Thanks, David. And congratulations, Penn Holderness, for making a difference. And that does it for this edition of A World of Difference. I'm Daryl Owens. I'll see you back here next time. You can watch episodes of A World of Difference on the Beacon College Facebook and YouTube channels and on the show's website, awodtv.org. The website also provides tip sheets and other resources for your parenting journey. And you can listen to the show on the go on Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and other popular podcasting platforms. Thank you for watching and supporting A World of Difference.